Hi folks, Nicola Rock here, and thanks for tuning into my channel again. I'm sitting on the floor in front of my RC600 because I want to do I want to say short tutorial, but it might not be that short. I use the app forScore on my iPad for my lyrics and music, and I want to connect it to my RC600 so that when I page between scores, the scores send the tempo to the RC600. The method I use is not pretty by any means. If some other devices, for example the Beat Buddy, would have within the system you can send control messages like a CC106 or CC107, I think it is, in which you enter the MSB and LSB numbers, and then you can get a specific tempo marking in there, or you can get a specific tempo in there. On the RC600 we have three ways to send tempo remotely. The one is with a MIDI clock. forScore, unfortunately, well, I'm not aware of any way to send a MIDI clock via forScore. The other way to do it remotely is by doing a tap tempo. So you can put a button in forScore and tap on the screen to get the tempo. And the third way is by actually using the tempo to control the tempo. To assign it, it just says tempo. I will show you. But that tempo uses something like a fader or a slider or an expression pedal. So you have to figure a way out to work around it, and I will show you. The first thing we're going to do is, let me go to the RC600. The first thing we need to do is do some assigns. So I'm going to go to menu, press it twice, go over to assign, and I'm going to use assign 4. I'm using MIDI CC number 10. Remember to switch it on, otherwise it won't work. CC10. Source ACT low is 0. Source, I can't remember what ACT stands for. ACT high is 127. Target, here's that tap tempo I was talking about, and then next to that it's tempo. Then you have target minimum and target max. Target minimum is 40 because that's the lowest the RC600 can go, and 300 BPM is the highest it can go, so just leave that as it is. Exit. Also go to MIDI and make a note of your control channel. Your receiving control channel. In this case it's 1. Okay, when we go across to forScore, let's just use this song as a example. When we go to forScore, you go to your piece, click on the little arrow, go down to MIDI, audio MIDI, and we go to add. Now the only way to do it in forScore is by using hex codes. So over here we have to type in a few things. So we say B0 space 0A space 27. Do that. Go back all the time. Now let's have a look over here. We have 148 there, and now we change to 119.8. So all I wanted to show you there is that it is actually doing something. Who was that? It was Albatross. Okay, maybe none of what I said now makes sense. Here's a very rough explanation of how it works. I've only been working with MIDI for 2 weeks, and I only figured this specific one out 2 days ago. So please excuse me, but hopefully it helps. We want to send a CC message because, like you saw on the RC600, it says CC10. We are sending something on CC10. Over here we have to go and look at CC, which stands for control change. In the second column we see there it says BN. So that means when we send a B message, it is a control change message. N is that a MIDI channel we looked at, and in this case channel 1. You have 16 channels and we are sending a message over MIDI channel. So we are sending a message over MIDI channel 1. Then if you look at the fourth column, we have a control number. That is the control number 10. The CC10 we assigned in the RC600. And then the last column is the control value. And that value is what we need to change to get the BPM or the tempo into the RC600. Now all of this has to be done in hexadecimal. So if we look over here, that first number is B0. B, remember I said, was the letter sent for CC messages. 0 is channel 1 because in MIDI we start counting at 0 from 0 to 60, 0 to 127. 0 is 1. So B0 means we are sending a message over MIDI, a CC message over MIDI channel 1. Then the next one is 0A. 0A is hexadecimal for 10. If we go here, we put in decimal, and we go over to hex, we see hex for 10 is A. When it says 0xa, that's just a way to show that 0x means we are talking hexadecimal. So if we were to say 25, it will also be x0401. If we go, sorry, that's 1025. If we go back to 10, it's A. Now you always have to have two, let's just say digits for lack of a better word. It's probably 2 bytes. So we have to put in 0A, which means control number CC number 10, which is what we put on the RC600. Then in this case we have 27 hex, and I put that in just as an example, but 27 hex is 39 decimal. If we were to put in 120 decimal, it would be a hex 78. Now the reason I didn't put in 120, because I want 120 BPM, is because of that range I spoke about, the range of 1 to 127, sorry, 0 to 127. We don't have a specific number we can put in there. We have to put in a range between 0 and 127 to mimic a fader or slider or expression pedal. So we have B0 means CC MIDI channel 1, CC being sent over MIDI channel 1. We have 0A, which means CC10, and we have 27, which is hexadecimal for 39. Okay, now for the part that's not pretty. at all. We have to do some maths to get close to that 120 BPM. Sorry, for this song it is 100 BPM. So we have to do some maths to get to 100 BPM. We have to say 100 minus 40 equals 60. Then we have to divide 60 by, just double check that, I think it's 2.03. Yes, 2.03. $29.55. Now hexadecimal doesn't work with decimals, like we say, with decimal points. So it's always, and this is where the not pretty part comes in. So it has to be either 29 or 30. So if we want 100 BPM, we have to go add in hexadecimal either 29 or 30, and we'll see which one gets us closest to 100 BPM. If we go to our converter, decimal, we want 29, go to hex, so 29 equals 1D, 30 equals 1E. Okay. Now let's go back to forScore. Let's put in here 1D. And let's see what this does. If we go to all of me, and now we go back to our song, Albatross, it's changing to 99.4. Oops, let's just do this. There we go. 99.4. Let's see when we put in 1E, it says 101.4, so I'm going to go with 1D. $99.4. There you go. That's how you send a tempo MIDI message from forScore to your RC600. If you want to know how I got to the maths, I will make a video on that. If you want to know how I send program change messages to the RC600, I will do that as well. Maybe I'll do a video on how I use my MIDI as well. Yeah, that's it. I know it's not a very coherent video by any means, but I hope you found it informative. Share it if you have some other friends that you think might find this information helpful, especially forScore and Boss users. That's it. Thanks for watching my video, and until next time, I'm Nick LaRock. Ciao.